Seppa and Kayla put on one of the most unbelievable battles for the lead we've seen before at Spa. It all came down to the last lap, but Seppa was the victor, if just barely. Today could wind up seeing similar action with the long straights of Road America offering up plenty of slipstreaming. We'll see if we get a repeat as we get ready to watch round 2 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Road America is regarded by many as one of the best circuits in North America. Let's head to our track guide to understand why. Welcome to Road America. Nicknamed America's National Park of Speed, it's easy to see why just by looking at how the track is laid out. Long straights are a major feature, and drivers will build up incredible momentum before they find themselves interrupted by tight 90-degree corners. In fact, for a 4-mile circuit, it has shockingly few turns. It also has little in the way of variation in layouts. The main course is only broken up once with a single chicane added in the bend version. But don't take this to mean that it's a boring track. Elevation change happens many times over a lap, with a few places taking you into corners which are quite blind. But 2 of the turns on the back half of the course are perhaps the most distinctive. One is the carousel with its more than 180-degree radius. It just feels like it never stops. The other is the kink. Terrifyingly fast with very little runoff, it can end someone's race in a flash. As you'd expect, the heavy braking zones make for some ideal overtaking spots. Turn 5 sees plenty with its downhill entry. The hurried downs can offer drivers a chance at a sneak attack if you're brave, and then Canada Corner gives you one last shot before the lap is over. It's no wonder major organizations such as IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, and the SCCA all host major races here. All in all, many drivers rate this track as the best track in North America. Many who hop in the seat and try it can quickly understand why. Well, DJ, much like last week, this is a place that is a driver and fan favorite, so I have a feeling we're going to see a good show be put on.
Oh, we most certainly are, Joe. And while the fact that these Lotus 79s may have never raced here at Road America, they are going to take to it like a duck to water. It's an absolutely incredible track for this, where there are plenty of opportunities to pass. Mainly, the best place I think we're going to see is going down into turn 5 and then also going into Canada Corner. These drivers are going to have to be a little bit careful. This is a bit of an older track, obviously, and so there are a little bit of bumps along the way, and they're going to have to watch out for those, make sure the ground effect can keep them into the ground. But with as much downforce as these cars are generating, turn 1 is going to be a maybe potential overtaking opportunity, although it's going to be a little bit more of a sweeper than we're used to seeing. Look for everybody getting a good run out of the carousel. That's going to be absolutely crucial, and I think because of the setups in these cars, you may be able to see a little bit more of running flat out through there. The other thing that we will be talking about is those setup differences in the cars. There could be guys that are a little bit tuned down, maybe a little bit more trimmed out, trying to go straighter as possible, fast as possible in a straight line. There may be guys that are trying to maximize downforce and get a better run through the kink in the carousel.
Now, we already have one round down, so we of course have some championship points starting off with the driver's standings, and it's pretty close to the finishing results, of course, with Seppa taking the win as well as the pole over Marco Kayla. He's about those 8 points ahead. Costa, Williams, and Hovdal round out your top 5, with things, of course, naturally remaining close for now. Today will probably be one that helps better show what the picture is going to look like this season, which is once again 3 splits. We also have a teams championship, which is a little bit more mixed up and also quite close.
It is indeed, and there you can see Team ATS leading the way with 32 points. March Grand Prix Racing Team only 1 point behind them, tied with Equip Renault Elf. So a good battle shaping up there, and another tie in the back there for 4th place with Essex and John Player Team Lotus. Excuse me, that's just one team. It's sitting there in 3rd. Fittipaldi Automotive in 5th place, only 4 points back. So that team's championship very, very close as well, obviously with only 1 round down here in this season.
For today's race, it's another one with a long lap, so only 22 laps that we will see out there. And they have some penalties to worry about. They can get a drive-through at 17 incidents and be disqualified at 25. So not as many paved runoffs as we saw at Spa, so not sure that it'll be as big of an issue. But they also have to worry about damage out here because it is so fast. Any of it is going to slow them down in a straight line, and they don't have a spare car that they can hop in and try and take on. But we are in the midst of that qualifying, and Mikko Leno is currently on the top with De Turk actually chasing him, and make that Pauli Partanen now to the pole as he just set a 49.9, less than a tenth quicker than Mikko.
Yeah, it's a very, very narrow order up at the top. Partanen and Alex Millward now bumping his way up into second, only about a hundredth of a second off of Partanen's best time. So not a lot separating these top runners right now.
Waiting for Alex Millward and Andy T to set a time. Looks like Alex Millward just got one in, and that puts him into third, about 3/10 away from Marco Kayla, who's now taken the pole away. Juanmi Costa into second, and Andy T immediately takes it away from everyone as he is now a quarter of a hundredth of a second ahead at the top of the timing.
Wow, very, very narrow gaps there, but now a little bit of a gap showing out between second place and third place. That's about 3/10 of a second, but still, Joe, the top 13, less than a second off of each other. It's such a long track like Road America. Everybody just bringing their A game today.
And bad news for Mick Claridge. He got disconnected early on. He's back in. I think he has enough time for one lap, but one lap only, and that is going to put him under the gun. Daniel Gallus is the only other one that hasn't set a time. He's pulling to a halt, so I think he is also done for today. But right now, we're waiting for the rest of the cars to come through for that second time lap. Hovdal crosses with a 50.1. That'll jump him up to 10th after finishing in the top 5 last week. 50.8 for Morin, and he's only going to go up to 15th. Partanen, who was at one time on the pole, is only able to make it up to 4th with his second lap.
Indeed, he is. Here's Marco Kayla as he makes his way around. Following him as he comes out of that final corner. Always important to try to nail. Let's see what he's got here. Kayla comes to the line. Is that going to be a better time for him? It is. That's pole for Marco Kayla.
Wow. And just saw Tolinen go across a 50.1. He improves to 10th place. Ove Trangrade is up next. Can Ove maybe upset things in that number 15? Is he fast enough in this steeply stacked field? Some of the quickest drivers we've ever seen here in the Lotus 79. And it's a 49.8. Good enough for 8th place. That's much better for him.
Here comes Mick Claridge. You were talking about him a little bit earlier. A little bit of a different line there coming out of that final corner. Let's see if they're able to allow him to carry some more speed. He's going to be able to get this time in. Claridge comes to the line. Is that going to be the time that counts? No,
that was his out lap.
Yeah, he's not going to get it in.
Oh, man, what a day for these drivers. So as Daniel Gallus comes around, he also will be one of 2 in this 21-car field that will not be able to set a time, as he came to a halt pretty recently, so I'm pretty certain this is also an out lap for him. And he will be able to cross the line, but that's not going to be good enough for him to get onto the board. Unfortunately, going to be a rough day for each of them, especially for Mick Claridge, who's ranked 4th in iRating here. But let's go through that starting grid. And it is going to be Marco Kayla, who stole the pole away. Can he manage to get a win this time? Andy T is going to try and deny him of that. He tends to come in and dominate himself, with Juanmi Costa starting from 3rd. Seppa, last week's winner, only good enough for 4th. Can he try and do something different with that today and get up the order? Leno is going to be in 5th, followed by Partanen in P6. Michael De Turk starts from 7th, with Trangrade his second lap getting him all the way up into 8th place. Last row in the top 10 is going to be Alex Millward and Timu Vaskalampi.
Yukin Tolan is going to be lining up in 11th, followed by Matthias Hovdal with Timothy Reed and Phil Lake behind them in row 7. In 15th, it's Lloyd Barba, followed by Paul Williams, and Sebastian Morin and Alessandro Parigi making up row 9. Toby Cortinemi will line up in 19th, followed by Mick Claridge, as we said, didn't set a time, as did Daniel Gallus, bringing up the back of the field in 21st.
22 laps here for round 2. And will we see Kayla get his revenge for just missing out on the victory at the dying moments of last week's race? Will Andy T be able to overcome him with his immense speed? Will Severi Seppa make it back-to-back? Will Costa suddenly find himself able to jump up the podium? He got 3rd last week and would certainly love to go 2 steps higher, as just a couple more cars need to find their way out on the grid, and then we are ready to go. We saw the temperatures a little bit earlier, 77 Fahrenheit, and it's relatively cool here in Wisconsin in the fall. Looks like a bunch of the leaders now coming out to the grid, and we have everyone ready to go. 25 Celsius for those who run on the metric system. Engines start to rev as the lights come up, and the green flag is out. Not a good start for Marco. Oh my goodness, he's bogged down. Already getting passed by 4, potentially 5 cars before the first turn. And Andy T is easily into the lead with a huge gap back to the field into the first corner. It looks like 5th place for Kayla as we get a car off in the background. And I think that is actually Alex Millward.
Yeah, it is. Alex just ran a little bit wide coming through turn 1, and that sent him off into the grass, but he's able to recover and keep going at this point. But up front, it is Andy T being followed by Juanmi Costa. Looks like a little bit of action in the back. This is the first part of that big draft train that we've talked about to see who makes the move down into turn 5.
Andy T retains that lead. Nobody attacking up at the front. Very single file until you get down to 9th, where it looks like Trangarade and Hovdal get that sorted out with Trangarade ahead. We're on board with Hovdal as we now come across the crest through 6.
And this is where the technical part of Road America really starts to come in, down through the hurry downs. It's almost a little bit like a street course and just some 90-degree corners there, but everybody making it through okay. Now, this is where it gets interesting. You've got to pick your line just right, try to get a little bit of clean air onto the front wing of that car coming through the carousel. Ooh, that was Juanmi Costa running very, very wide there, coming out of the exit of the carousel and now into the kink.
Holds it well. Tires still getting up to temperature here for our drivers, so they got to be careful at the start. So far, I'm not seeing any incidents through the kink down into the Canada corner. Big move down the inside from Marco Kayla. He's going to be able to overtake Miko for that 4th position.
Yeah, and I've got to think Kayla's going to have a little bit of a fire under him after that poor start. Right on board with the Finn right now. He's got Severi Seppa up ahead of him. He's going to have his eyes fixed there and trying to just push as hard as he can.
Yeah, Seppa's actually got a pretty decent run on Costa for 2nd place. Takes a little bit of a look, but he gets back into the racing line. Not seeing many opportunities for a pass amongst the front runners. Back to turn 1. So as we complete the first lap, T, Costa, Seppa are your podium.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit tricky, I think, for these drivers to get that pass made into turn 1. It's not that heavy of a braking zone, especially in these Lotus 79s. So the best option for them is to try to just keep up as close behind through turns 1 and 3, and then really take full advantage of the draft here going down the Moraine sweep. Not a lot of action there. Nobody really pulling out there in that leading pack. Ooh, a little bit of action in the back, though.
Yeah, I think that was Parigi who manages to get by Barba. And amongst them, if we look back there, Millward in 17th has already passed about 4 cars. I think he's bringing Mick Claridge with him.
Yeah, he is indeed, Joe. And as we said, Alex Millward, whoa, taking a little dive down to the inside. Whoa, hoy, hoy, that was turn 8. It's a very tricky place to try to get a pass done. But Alex, I think, seeing red just like his car here, he knows he's got a faster car than a lot of these guys around him.
Had a little bit of an incident, don't need to go to it. Cortiniemi and Morin had contact in turn 8, both of them able to get the cars going as we continue to watch the view from Millward in the number 12 machine. with Tolanen in front, not by much, but too much to be able to make a pass. Maybe not. I thought he was too far back. Millward disagrees. He doesn't make the pass, but he got awful close.
Did indeed. I think he's just scaring Yuka Tolanen at this point, trying to see if he can force a mistake. Up front, though, there you can see the pack starting to separate out a little bit there from Lino on back. Looks like that's a little bit of a move we've got going on here.
Yep, and that is going to be Partanen, who slipstreams by Mikko and puts himself into 5th place. Quite a train here at the front, now being led by Partanen. Mikko's in there to Turk, Vascalampi, Trangarade, Hovdal, and Lake.
Yeah, it's about a second up the road to the leading pack from these guys right here, but a big, big draft train. We look out the back there of Paulie Partanen, waiting to see if anybody's going to try to make a little move going down into turn 5. That was Mikko Lino thinking about it. Oh, but that sends Mikko offline, and Michael DeTurk says, thank you very much. I'll take advantage of that.
Yeah, I think he braked way too deep into there, and he's going to have to give it up as they get into turn 6. So what could have been a move wound up being a position lost for Mikko Lino. And DeTurk now moves into 6th position. We got to, oh, that's our leader off. Andy T off in the hurry downs. How did this happen?
I'm not sure, Joe, but he's very fortunate. Doesn't look like any damage to that car, but he is going to fall all the way back into 18th. Let's check out the replay.
Okay, they're in turn 6 here in the replay, through 7 and down into 8. Nobody near him. Did he make the mistake all on his own? Into the corner. He did. The rear comes around. Andy T gives up the lead due to driver error, an unusual mistake for him.
We are not used to seeing that out of Andy. Just carried a little bit too much speed there into turn 8, I think, and the rear just snapping around on him. So a heartbreak there for him. He's going to have a lot of work to do. Looks like a big check up there in front of him. I think he's able to just slip by somebody going into the final corner.
And something happened to Tolanen. Oh no, Tolanen actually got hit by Millward into Canada corner. There's a bunch of passes happening at the same time. Millward made contact. Alex able to keep going, but Tolanen is in pit lane. That certainly will not make them the best of friends, I have to imagine, because this looks like, as we get the replay now, you're going to see this here in just a few moments. I think Alex just didn't quite anticipate them slowing up enough.
No, and this is coming out of the kink, going down that long back straight. You can see a lot of action back and forth, everybody doing it. Oh, just misjudged that move ever so slightly. Tried to do a little bit of a quick fake. There you can see it. We'll get a better view here going down into Canada corner. Yeah, just a miscommunication on all parts, it looks like. And right into the back of Yuka Tolanen.
Big hit into the wall, spins to a halt, and hits escape. Okay, let's reset. It is Juan Micosta now, our new leader, as we ride on board with 3rd, Kayla, who's chasing Severi Seppa. I asked the question, could Severi take back-to-back wins here at the start of the season? And it's not looking out of the question right now.
No, it's certainly not. And we've seen this kind of mentality out of Severi Seppa before in the early stages of the race, just kind of relaxing. Looked like a little bit of a bad line up there for Juan Micosta, but able to gather it. I think that was a worse line for Severi, actually, kicking up a little bit of dirt along the way. And Marco Kayla getting very excited about that. Your former pole sitter here trying to scrap back onto the podium, but trying to make an attack on Severi Seppa.
He's got a very good run here. He'll get the slipstream, but Seppa's also going to get a little bit of a pull from our leader Costa. So that makes them even, if anything, as they finally get to the end of the straight. No attempt from Marco. Wasn't nearly close enough. They've got about 1.5 seconds down to Partanen, who sits in 4th. So they should be in a good position to battle a little bit if they want to, but if they battle too much, they'll find themselves joined by another friend. As we hop back to Phil Lake now, who is being chased by Matthias Hovdal for 9th.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on this battle out of the corner of my eye. Hovdal had a really good run down the front straightaway, but didn't pull out, didn't have the best exit out of turn 3. You can see him there closing up under braking. Is
Seppa.
Yeah.
Seppa's managed to get the lead off of Costa. How did this happen? I think a mistake from Ronnie out of turn 5 opened that one up. Let's take a look at the replay.
This is on the run down into turn 5. You can see there, I think Ronnie, a little bit sideways there, just had to catch the car, and Severi Seppa being very opportunistic, incredibly difficult to get that move done into turn 6, and kudos there to Juan Costa to try to hang it out around the outside, but not enough, so moves Severi Seppa back up into the lead.
From 4th to 1st by lap 5. This has been a great race for that number 2 machine. Juan Costa still holding on to him, and so is Marco Kayla. This could all switch around yet again, but it's incredible. The tiniest of mistakes have been critical out there.
Yeah, they really have, and the whole first 2 races of this Lotus 79 season just absolutely incredible. Everybody bringing their A game. You've got to be 100% on your best here, or you're going to get swamped.
And let's take a glance at Andy T and his recovery drive. It looks like he's still in 15th. At worst, he might have got a little bit of ground damage, floor damage on that car. And at best, he's perfectly clean. Let's see what he's looking at compared to our leaders. And he is quicker, actually. No, Seppa has been quicker these last 2 laps. I'm willing to bet that T having to fight with so many cars around him is certainly not helping that situation.
I think you're right on that, Joe. And as you said, no visible damage to the car, but Andy will know if he's got some floor damage. The front of the cockpit tends to tip up a little bit. You can tell when it's broken when you're sitting in the cockpit, so he'll probably have an idea outside of just handling alone.
So jump back to Seppa, Costa, and Kayla here. And Costa, after getting past, I thought he'd be all over Severi and try to challenge him for the lead, but no, he's having to play defense instead, and Marco has been sizing him up.
Yeah, very much has. We know Marco's got some speed in that number 5 machine, taking a little bit of an opposite line there. Costa, I think, just trying to be defensive, runs into the grass a little bit on the entry to Canada corner. That's not going to hurt him too much, so they're going to be fine here. Now for Marco, he's just got to nail these last couple. That was a big bump there that Costa took coming over Bill Mitchell Bend. A little bit of a wider line, but that means he's able to carry some better momentum. It's really just a battle of wills at this point. I think if Marco Kayla is going to want to get by, he's either going to force a mistake out of Costa or just absolutely send it.
Let's stay here, but an update. Andy T had a spin in Canada corner. Another one of his own doing. Didn't hit anybody and wasn't really put offline by anyone. So I think the car of the number 1 is not set up well today. As we hop a little bit back to Deturk chasing Partanen. This is for the 4th position, and he's looking pretty close. He might have something here.
He may indeed. You can see that gain a little bit coming in. Definitely a speed advantage for Deturk, but a little far back to fully send it into turn 5, taking full advantage of the track. You're able to see how much he's able to close in there to Partanen. Really, really good car control here from Michael Deturk. Partanen running a little bit wide on corner exits, but he's trying to carry that momentum on the exits of the corners, but it looks like Deturk has got the measure of him. He's just got to be a little bit patient here and find out where he can find a weakness.
DJ, you talked about, as we look back at Overtaking now, in a battle with Phil Lake as well as Hovdahl behind him. Lake just made that overtake on Overtaking. But you talked about everybody needing to be on their A game. Millward having recovered a little bit himself. We have to remember, this is the top of 60-plus drivers that are racing right now. This is they've split them into 3, and this is 20 of the best by their I rating. So this really is some incredible talent being grouped together.
Yeah, it really is, Joe, and it's frankly, I have to give credit and testament to the iRacing team. They obviously put the new updates on the last season patch to the Lotus 79 here, and it's really brought out some good attendance, and this is definitely cream of the crop. Just for anyone wondering how good these guys are, the average strength, the average I rating here at Strength of Field, 4.3K.
My goodness. That's higher than a lot of the highest I rating in some splits. That is incredible. As we get a great run from Kayla. Could we see second place changing hands? No defense quite yet from Costa. Oh, he just weaves a little bit off the left-hand side, stays to the right. Marco deep on the brakes, manages to find the apex, but the car bobbles. That could open the door for Costa, but he does not take it. He'll sit back in third.
That's a really good move there from Marco Kayla. A lot of patience being exhibited by the driver of the number 5. Really, really well done.
Let's take another look at that. See how that pass looked from on board Marco. Great job. I thought he was going to hand it right back with that little bit of an overshoot. Let's see it from his perspective.
Yeah, just absolutely fearless onto the brakes. Yeah, there's that little bit of bobble that he gets. I think that was a combination of running a little bit harder over the curb than he would have preferred, as well as maybe getting on the power just a hair early, and this big rear tire spinning a little bit. But Kayla just absolutely able to put the car in the middle of the track and really, I think, check up Juan Costa and prevent him from making any sort of overtake back.
So we ride on board with the Turk now. Was not able to overtake Partanen, but is keeping him honest. They come back to the front stretch, and this is the longest straight on the track. Will he get a good enough exit? It looks decent.
That looks pretty decent for him, but again, as I've said, making that pass into turn 1 requires a lot of commitment. It's really only about a third gear corner in these Lotus 79s with the ground effects. It's not a whole lot of heavy braking. You can see it there. Almost just like a sweep. Woo! Little bit of a sideways action there from Paulie Partanen. Lucky to be able to hold on to the car. Turk closing in, under braking into turn 3. They're both able to get away nicely. And now here's another part of that big draft. Is this going to be a chance for Michael de Turk? Pulling that gap down under 0.4 of a second.
Don't think he's quite close enough, though. He'll reel him in a little bit. Oh, look at under braking. I thought he sent it too deep, and though he was slightly off the apex, de Turk makes it work. We're only on lap 9, keep it in mind. There's still plenty of racing left to go, but Michael's in a hurry to try and get himself closer to the podium.
He is indeed. This is the area, though, that you don't want to be running almost this close behind somebody. You get a lot of aero wash from the wings of the Lotus 79. You've got to definitely be running with that in mind. And especially here through the carousel, you can see that car just understeering, trying to push up off of the track. And Michael doing a great job to keep that under control, but he had to feather the throttle a little bit to be able to keep the car where he wanted. And that cost him about a 0.5 of a second. So not able to really get the move done there. We jump back here, checking in on our leaders. Marco Kayla, your pole sitter, starting to close in on Severi Seppa.
So will Kayla try and deny Seppa yet again? It looks like he has this pace to do it, because that battle between himself and Costa definitely put them a little farther behind, and he's already run him down in about a lap and a half to within 0.5 seconds as they cross the line. This time by Seppa runs a 51 flat, his fastest lap, and Kayla ups it by a 50.6, setting the fastest lap of the race.
Marco Kayla on a mission here after that poor start from him. I think he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Takes an early apex there into turn 3, whereas Seppa took a little bit of a later apex. Seppa's line is what I would normally consider more traditional going through there, try to carry momentum going on to this long straightaway, but obviously not costing Marco Kayla too much time. Diving down to the brakes into turn 5. Little bit of correction there for Kayla, but that car looks like it's pretty well put together underneath him.
Let's go to Overtaking because he had a big moment coming off of turn 5. He catches the car. Timothy Reed was already stalking him, and he's going to take advantage of that off to slip on through. So that puts Timothy into the top 10. Let's take another look at this incident.
So this is the run out of turn 3, going down the Moraine sweep. That's triangle to your left, and Timothy Reed to your right. Comes in here, watching Triangle, getting on the binders very late on the brakes, just overcooks it. Those rumble strips there off to the right, intended to be run on. But Ove very lucky that he was able to get the car wound up. And I'm frankly a little bit surprised that we didn't see some lockup from Ove. It just shows him how good he is on the brakes, that he was able to keep that thing relatively gathered underneath him.
You say intended to be run on, but not necessarily for a car with ground effects. It has to be sucked to the ground. As we come back to Marco Kayla, he's within 0.3 of a second this time. Once again, looking much faster than Severi, but in the critical moments when he wants to be close enough to pull the slipstream, didn't look like Marco got a great exit off the final turn.
No, he really didn't. It looks like Marco is very, very strong in about the second and third sector of the track. But the first sector, he's just not really able to put the power down, I think, the way he'd like to. As we watch everybody pouring their way there through. Whoa, a little bit of bumping and weaving there, it looked like. I think somebody ran a little bit off. I'm not sure if that was Kayla or Seppa, but this may be a chance. No, Kayla's still looking a little far back to make a move down into turn 5. Indeed, under braking, he's just going to stay in line.
Yeah, Kayla kicking up the dust a little bit on the corner exit, but not enough to spin him out, thankfully. They have definitely gapped Costa. Now that they have gotten by that 16, he's fallen about a second and a half, almost 2 seconds back, which let's give a quick shout to both Costa and Partanen, because we have to remember they've got an I rating that puts them 16th and 18th respectively, but they're running 3rd and 4th. So this is going to be a good I rating haul for each of them.
Yeah, it most certainly is. And obviously you are out here in a series like this, not necessarily looking at your I rating, but just out here to do the best you can and maybe get a podium out of it. But massive kudos to them. Looked like a good run there coming out of the kink for Kayla. Is he going to have a run going down into Canada corner? He's certainly close behind Seppa. No, he's going to stay in line here. Maybe try to maximize the exit. He's able to keep nice and close coming out of Canada corner up through the Bill Mitchell bend now. Everything nice and easy. Loses a little bit of time there. I think he had to lift slightly coming out of it. He's got to nail this final corner. Looks like he's losing a little bit of time there in those last 2 corners to Severi Seppa, Joe. I think that's what's costing the run going into turn 1.
So you see the lap comparison between the pair of them. And this time, Kayla just slightly slower. He's hit that wall now where he's caught Seppa, but he can't seem to do anything with it. It was a great exit off of turn 1 for Marco. Seppa's got to really focus here and keep himself far enough away, and I don't think he's done it. Marco already trying to get as close to that gearbox as he can get. Can he outbrake him? Down into turn 5. Seppa seems to think so because he covers him off down to the inside of the corner, and he's going to juke him. Goes all the way down to the grass. Did he send it in too deep, though? Both of them going as late as they can, and Marco takes the spot.
Oh my goodness, how Marco Kayla didn't end up in the wall, I will never know, but that is one of the most spectacular passes for the lead I've seen here at Road America.
And that is 2 drivers that were not willing to back down. They both went absolutely as late as possible. Marco willing to try and pull the fake, just getting enough, and even 2 wheels into the grass, and somehow gets it stopped in time with a little slide for Flair. And that'll net him the lead, but can he hold on to it?
That's going to be the real question. We've seen what Severi Seppa can do when he's got his back against the wall a little bit, but he's going to have to try to chase him down. But look at that gap Marco Kayla has already pulled. He's got it up to about a half a second.
Just a little update. Loic Barba unfortunately had an off at turn 6. He's got the car rolling now, but I think he's got some damage after he made contact with the wall. This is Michael de Turk on screen in the number 9 as he chases Pauli Partanen, and he's going to have a decent slipstream, but I don't think this is close enough to really make an attack into the first corner, especially with how little braking they have into there.
Yeah, exactly, Joe. And Michael has been stalking in the tire tracks of Pauli Partanen for a good part of this race. You can see there that gap just sort of seesawing back and forth and back and forth. Michael just trying to do what he can here. We haven't really gotten a chance to talk about it a whole lot yet, but these cars, remember, handle very differently on a full tank of fuel as they do to an empty tank of fuel. So we may start to see some setup differences coming into play where drivers are going to be a little bit stronger or a little bit weaker now that the fuel is starting to burn off.
Well, right now, things look to be handling at least somewhat well for most of our front runners. Although Seppa's keeping Marco honest, still within about 0.4 of a second. That little duel that they had helped out Costa immensely because he's back to within half a second of them as well. And if he's feeling the slipstream, I wonder if that'll prevent him from losing touch this time.
Yeah, it very well might. We've seen the power of the slipstream here at Road America, and in these Lotus 79s, with the speeds they're going, it's about a second or so that you're going to be able to really feel that draft. So Costa's certainly within range of that right now. And Severi Seppa is going to be keenly aware of that distance, too. He is not going to want to lose too much touch with Marco Kayla, because I think if he does, maybe game over for him.
So only 2 retirements so far. Daniel Gallus and Jukka Tolinen, unfortunately. We still got 19 of the 21 runners that are out there. Sad to hear that Tolinen's letting us know behind the scenes. He unfortunately drove quite a ways home to try and make the race, and it was ended prematurely.
It's always a really upsetting feeling for a driver when you have to do that, make some sacrifices in your real life to be able to jump into the sim, and this kind of thing just happening. Little bit of a sideways wobble there for Marco Kayla. He's really driving the wheels off of that thing. But that bobble coming out of turn 1, that's going to allow for Seppa to close in a little bit. As we jump back here, this is Alex Millward, who's just set the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, Millward, remember, had to make a recovery, and he's almost to where he started. I think he's recently overtaken Trangarade for that 10th spot. He started in 9th, and since then, it's been a bit of a struggle. Same thing with Andy T, who we were following his recovery as well. Since he's had multiple spins, he's only up to 14th.
Yeah, not the best race out for Andy. I think he's just going to have to sort of write this one off a little bit as a bad week. Riding on board with Ove Trangarade here, as we said, Alex Millward just able to get by him. And even though Ove's running down in 11th, as it always seems to be the case, always right in the center of something. There's always some action going on when Ove's in the field.
Really is. And we ride on board with his roll bar, watching Alex Millward start to creep away. For Millward, by the way, next up is Hovdal, about 1.7 seconds up the road, flat out through the kink and on through the kettle bottoms towards Canada corner amongst the trees as they rush by. Slipstream helping them gain a little bit, but not enough to really attack on the UKNI driver.
Indeed, but a little bit interesting there. I'm not sure if it was necessarily under braking or just under top speed, but it looked like Ove was able to close down a lot in the last couple of 100 meters there on that back straightaway. So maybe an interesting setup there for Ove Trangarade, or maybe Alex Millward just being a little bit more cautious going into Canada corner.
Kayla continuing to set fastest lap after fastest lap. He's claimed it a number of times already this race, and he just bumps the marker lower to a 50.4 this last time by Seppa. He's trailing still by about 0.5 of a second, but not able to match him, it seems. You can see the black number 16 of Juan Costa staying within range himself. But based on the way he got dropped earlier, I suspect this is more him kind of riding the coattails of those top 2.
Yeah, I think you're about right on that, Joe. For him, he's just going to want to stay within that second to hold on there. He does have a pretty decent gap back to Pauly Partanen, about 1.8 seconds as of right now. So he's got some breathing room, but he doesn't want to lose too much touch with the leaders here, because if he does, obviously, if there's a mistake up ahead, he'll want to pounce. Good heads-up driving there from Juan Costa. You saw him taking that sort of interior line through the carousel. Very, very smart. You get clean air onto that wing. It may be a slightly compromised line, but it enables you to stay flat out through the carousel, and that really allowed him to close in on Severi Seppa.
It did. Maybe Severi's got to worry less about the win and more about not falling out of the second spot here. Now, Marco Kayla, let's not forget, got the pole. So he's going to get 2 bonus points for that. If he gets the fastest lap as well and takes the win, he'll get max points, which will put him ahead of Seppa if he finishes in second, since Seppa will get none of the bonus points. And last time, Seppa only got 58. So it'll be a tight margin at the top afterwards if they finish as is. But it is still looking like that tight margin might be important come the end of the season, because Kayla and Severi are so closely matched this season.
Yeah, they really are. It's a great battle up at the top. Here you see Wanmi just trying to take a little bit of a peek there on Severi Seppa. I think Wanmi's starting to try to get into the head of the driver of the number 2, just seeing if he can force an error. It's a good strategy, but tends to be a little difficult to force Severi Seppa into an error. He's normally a pretty consistent and headstrong driver.
Certainly is. And Costa's the only odd man out in this one, hailing from Club Iberia, as the other two up at the front are Finns. And in fact, he's flanked by all Finns because Partanen behind him is also Finnish.
It is the Finnish invasion here in the Lotus 79 series. But we, for one, are thankful for it because it is putting on some great action as we continue to watch this leading trio. That is Partanen and the Turk you just saw flash out of the corner of your screen there in the back. Definitely within striking distance if some sort of incident goes down with this leading trio, but they are in a battle of all of their own right now.
Yeah, certainly. Partanen 2.5 seconds back and mostly more concerned with the Turk for much of this race. We're coming down to 6 laps to go. Things have settled into a bit of a rhythm, and it's these top 3 that want to break that rhythm and change it up. Question is, can Seppa or Costa do anything about the lead that Kayla has now? They've been stuck at this gap for probably about the last 5 laps.
They have indeed. Looks like Ronnie Costa able to gain a little bit of ground going down at the front straightaway. He's just got to nail this exit coming out of turn 3. I think he lost a little bit of ground there, so it may be too far back. But he's still within about 0.3 of a second, so not insurmountable, but he's going to have to be very late on the brakes. There he is pulling out of the draft. But this is Alex Millward, who just was able to get by Matthias Hovdahl.
Indeed, made a nice pass into the first corner. Ove Trangrade's going to try and follow him through. And he's not going to do it here down into turn 5, though, as he gets very close under braking to the gearbox of Hovdahl. So Millward finally back where he started. Let's take a look at the replay and see how this pass unfolded.
Indeed it is. So we got to back it up a little bit more here. So this is coming down the main straightaway, and for all I've talked about how hard it is to make that pass into turn 1, Alex Millward proving me wrong. Just a simple dive out to the inside. That's a little bit of a compromised line for him, but he's able to gather the car under him very well. Little bit wide at the exit, but really, really good.
I'm actually quite impressed that he's managed to get up to 9th, because that's no easy feat in as talented a field as this one is, as we come back live, because everybody's going to be running at 10 tenths. You can see him here on the screen, not too far away from the next one, Phil Lake, but it's 2.5 seconds, so he's going to need a pretty big difference in pace to be able to actually hope to try and get a pass on him before this is over.
Well, and looking at the times for the two of them, their best laps were their last laps out, and Millward only having, Alex Millward actually running slower right now than Phil Lake. Nope, I read it right the first time. He is faster, but about 0.6 of a second, so a lot of gain to get up there to Phil Lake. He's going to have to really hustle.
I think we've had our latest DNF. Mick Claridge has wrecked out, and this one happened in the carousel. Unfortunately, with how fast this car tends to go, there's no small wreck, so he smashed the wall, and he smashed it hard.
Yeah, this car, when it's, and especially in those wrecks, when it loses that ground effect, when you are out of control in this Lotus 79, it is very tough to regain back onto you.
So once again, watch the leaders. Now down to 5 laps to go through the hurry downs and into the carousel once again. Last time by, Costa, I think, claimed that fastest lap at 50.143. Yes, he did. So Costa now gets those bonus points. If Costa is able to hold on to that fastest lap, Kayla will be tied on points with Seppa.
Just setting up for an incredibly intriguing season here in the Classic Team Lotus Series. You gotta love it. Keeping our eyes focused here on these front 3. No real gaps developing between either of them. They just seem stuck line astern right now.
How much do you think this is them trying to wait patiently for something to happen, maybe a mistake out of the rivals? And how much of this do you think is them truly being stuck and just unable to do anything.
I think it's a little column A and a little column B there, Joe, as Sebri Seppa now sets the fastest lap of the race. We've seen them close down, but these are three very, very experienced drivers that we've seen in this series. There is a little bit of being stuck, specifically if you are looking at Juan Costa trying to move his way forward. Sebri Seppa obviously getting the draft off of Marco Kayla in front of him, and so that's kind of helping him out there. But I do think there's a little bit of patience. I think this is a little bit like watching a volcano just sort of bubbling a little bit under the surface, and in the last lap or two, we could see a massive explosion of action out of these top three.
And out of nowhere, Andy T finds his legs and sets the fastest lap himself down in 14th. I think Vascaloppi in a bit of a fight with Mika Leno, and he is unfortunately going to lose that fight. Miko moves up to 6th through turn 5.
Does indeed. Pretty simple pass, just a good draft going down through the moraine sweep. You can see it here. Miko just lining him up nice and easy. A great run. Coming from a little far back, getting around Timu there, down to the inside. Later on the brakes, Vascaloppi tries to defend, but a little bit of a wiggle there. I think he got scared off of the apex, and that's going to move Lino all the way up forward.
So that will end that battle, at least for the time being. Another one that I'm keeping half an eye on is between Partanen and the Turk. Here you see it on screen. We're on board with Michael, who has been chasing the Finn for pretty much this entire race.
Yeah, it really has. These two have been inseparable for this 4th place position, but Paulie Partanen doing a really good job to withstand the constant pressure from Michael the Turk. As they cross over the line. Marco Kayla now setting the fastest lap of the race, so a lot of speed left to be had in all of these Lotuses across the board.
I have a feeling that fastest lap bonus is going to come down to the last lap. These cars are notorious for getting faster as they go. And another pass between Vascaloppi and Leno as Timu is able to get the spot back into turn 1.
Wow, so that battle not necessarily done yet, and some good back and forth action in between the two. Question's going to be, though, I have to think that this may be another attack for Miko Lino going down into turn 5.
And we switched back to 2nd because Seppa was under attack from Costa this time as he started to get a run down into turn 5. And like I was saying, these cars so much faster on lighter fuel as the car just burns it off, and they suck to the ground better and fly through the corners on that little bit of weight. They're going to get 2 to go next time by, but Seppa seems to be losing touch with Kayla, which is good news for the 5.
It is indeed. That's going to mean that draft, although while Seppa's still going to get a little bit of a pull of it, that Costa's going to be able to make maybe a little bit more of a run. They're going to cross the line here on a couple of corners for 2 laps to go at Road America.
Ooh, and the battle is not ending for 6th place. Miko still in a hard-fought one with Vascaloppi side by side through Bill Mitchell Bend. Timu has the bigger guts this time, but this backs up Miko as Phil Lake now joins the fray.
This is going to get really interesting, and remember, we've seen some passes maybe get done into turn 1, especially with these cars on lighter fuel. They're going to be able to send it in a little bit deeper. They may want to wait it out a little bit, but ooh, Vascaloppi feeling a little bit under pressure. He's going to go defensive, and that's going to put Lino to the outside. Who's going to be later on the brakes going into turn 1? Little bit of a cut off of the nose there for Miko Lino, but there comes Phil Lake now on Vascaloppi.
Doing exactly as I expected, just waiting to see how this unfolds and then try to chuck himself in when opportunity presents itself. He didn't finish the pass, but he's going to try it again as T once again taking the fastest lap towards the back of the field. Almost getting squeezed off by the number 10. Phil Lake eventually finds some space. He's got a nose ahead, but he's around the outside. Both of them deep on the binders, down into turn 5, wheel to wheel, and it goes to Phil Lake.
That is just some incredible guts there from Phil Lake, and not giving up at all, keeping that car around the outside. An incredible move. And look at this, all of that battling has brought the likes of Alex Millward and Matthias Havdahl back into contention with them. Now they're going to be pushing on Simu Vascaloppi. That battle slowing him down and bringing those other 2 drivers into the frame.
In a matter of about 2 laps, it's gone from a 2-car fight to now 4. So this is probably getting a little bit frustrating for the front two, trying to get away from all this as we come to the white flag, and Kayla leads Seppa, leads Costa, all of them split by barely a second.
Yeah, still very, very tight at the front. Marco Kayla just needs to get one more clean lap to hold off Severi Seppa. And Ronnie Costa needs to try to close in on that number 2 as well. Is this the moment that we see that eruption that we've been waiting for of action from these top 3?
None of the 3, oh, there we go. I was going to say none of the 3 set the fastest lap until Severi Seppa's time finally registered. And he will hold that for the moment. Will Andy T try and deny them is the question, since he's recently been on the charge for that. I'm keeping an eye on him just in case as these 3 come down the Moraine sweep. T came across and hit a 49.6 and does steal the fastest lap away, which means we could potentially see a tied lead at the end of this race. Marco Kayla, little bit of a slide coming through turn 5, sending it in deep to try and cover off an attack.
And this is exactly what I talked about. Severi Seppa, a very patient driver, just waiting for the moment to strike. He gets a little bit sideways there coming through the hurry downs, though, and that may hurt his time a little bit, but he's just got to narrow the carousel here and take advantage of the prime overtaking opportunity that is Canada Corner. Looks like Kayla was able to maybe stretch out by about a half a tenth, and now here's all where it comes down to. This is where the draft is going to come into play.
One final realistic chance, but Severi is falling back. He's about 0.4 of a second behind. He'll start to reel him in. It'll take an almighty lunge to really try and make a pass stick. Even then, I can't imagine Marco's going to take that lane down. Into the corner, nothing from any of the 3. They'll stay line astern. Except for a mistake out of Marco Kayla, I don't think we're going to see a pass for the lead. And coming through the final corner, Marco in that number 5 Williams is going to take the win here today at Road America.
An absolutely stellar drive from Marco Kayla. You can see him celebrating as he crosses the line. Seppa and Costa coming in behind. Wow, but we've had that Timo Vascalampi around in the back.
Oh no, right at the end. Did he have help on this, or was this all his own doing? He'll fall down the order very quickly, as we've had few drivers fall very far behind. We're going to take a look at the replay. He recovers to 14th for what it's worth.
Gets a little bit of a bad run out of Canada Corner. That's Alex Millward there behind him. I don't think there was contact. I think he just tried to... Oh, nope, there was a little bit of contact there. And again, a little bit of contact, so my eyes deceived me. But just some good, hard, clean racing there, and unfortunately coming up in tears for Timo Vascalampi.
Oh, sad to see as the rest of the field comes across the line. That's the rest of our battle, so we're going to head to break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12-Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Road America. Round 2 in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series was a stunner once again. Marco Kayla managing to get into the lead after a very poor start off the line. Had to fight his way back forward, but he made good on it. Seppa was only half a second behind him at the line and finished P2. We believe they are now tied on points. Juan Costa with an excellent drive to third, briefly held the lead but couldn't retain it. Partanen was fourth with a big battle with Turk all race long. Leno as well had so much going on. He finishes sixth as Phil Lake went from 14th to 7th, a 7th position gain for him. Alex Millward fell all the way back at the start, came back to 8th place, so still a net gain for him as Matthias Hovdal was 9th and Trangerade rounds out your top 10.
In 11th place, it was Timothy Reed, followed by Alessandro Parigi with Andy T and Timu Vascalampi coming home 13th and 14th. Some great battles there. Timu obviously falling down at the end. Torpi Kortanemi was 15th, followed by Paul Williams and Sebastian Morin in 17th. Loic Barbo was 18th, and then Mick Claridge and Daniel Gallus and Jukka Tolinen not finishing today's race.
That's going to take us to our winner here today, Marco Kayla, as we get ready to talk to what we think is the tied leader in the points. Marco, congratulations, redemption today after last week.
Thank you. It was a very fun race again.
It looked fun, but at the start, which we're seeing on screen on the replay right now, it didn't seem all that fun. What happened? Just too much wheel spin?
Yeah, I got too little clutch in, so it came out wheel spinning like crazy. So I'm not good at starting anyway, so that always like 1 out of 10 I get a good start, so always struggling at the beginning of the race.
Now talk to us as well about the pass that you made on Severi to take the lead away. That looked incredibly gutsy, and from our perspective, you actually got 2 wheels into the grass at one point. Did you feel that from inside the car, and how did you get it stopped?
Yeah, I got 2 wheels on the grass, but I don't know how I get it started. It's was 2016 or something like that. It was Ricciardo made a movie Monza. I liked it very much and had it now time to use it one time, and it works. So I was very happy about that.
As we said, we believe, if our calculations are right, you're going to be tied on points with Severi after this one. It's looking like you and him are going to be some major contenders for the championship.
Yeah, it's have many times planning race all season, but it's always dropping off races. So this year, this season, I will race whole season and hope to get the championship.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for you, and we hope we get more races just like the first 2 rounds. Congratulations. Anybody you want to thank?
Timo for the setup, always. So great community over here, and it's so fun to race with these people. Thanks, everybody.
That was our winner, Marco Kayla, who certainly had to work hard for that, even though he started from the lead. And I believe up next is Michael de Turk is our next one, who finished in the 5th position, and DJ has caught up with him.
Well, Michael, a 5th place run there for you, and it looked like a pretty constant battle with Paulie Partanen, but you got to be pretty pleased with this result on a track like Road America.
Yeah. After last week with the unfortunate netcode killing 2 of us at Spa, I'm very happy to take 5th this week.
Well, I mean, talk me through that constant battle all of the race pretty much with Paulie Partanen and obviously being involved in that. But how does that change your mentality when you're just sort of constantly looking at the gearbox of another driver?
Paulie had a little more top speed than me, and generally speaking, he's a little bit faster than me. I had the measure of him on the brakes, I think, but unfortunately, I have a tendency to run just a hair more downforce. So it does give me the advantage of being able to close up on the brakes and sit in his draft, but when you're just not quite fast enough to get alongside and really make a move stick, you really got to wait for him to just make a mistake. And typical with the Finns, there aren't very many, if any, mistakes. So it's a bit like fighting the winter war every single race.
I like that that metaphor there. That was good. Focusing on down the road, we're headed to, I guess you can call it another sort of old school circuit in Phillip Island next. Do you like your chances there? Are you a fan of the track? How do you think it's going to go?
I like Phillip Island. I don't have a lot of experience on it, but I do like it. I think after that, we're headed to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, which I'm a bigger fan of, but they're all kind of the same style of fast flowing, high risk, high reward type circuits. So I think a similar result is probably in the books for next week.
Well, all right. We'll be watching for you then, my friend. Anybody you'd like to thank for this run here today?
Timo provided the community set this week, which I know a lot of us used and modified a little bit. So shout out to him, and hope he does well at ESM finals coming up in Finland at the World Rally event this coming week. And to my dad, I hope he enjoyed watching this afternoon.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much, Michael DeTurk. That was your 5th place finisher here.
Thanks, DJ.
Today. Yeah, you're more than welcome. And now, Joe Peak, I believe you have caught up with Phil Lake.
Yes, Phil, one of our hard chargers today, going from 14th to 7th. Talk about that, because most of the other drivers making lots of passes had mistakes. You did not. You just came up through the field.
Yeah, it was a really good race. I've still got a lot to learn in these cars, and qualifying is one of those things I need to learn. It's always been a problem for me. So I kind of expect to move through the field a little bit. Not as far as I actually did. It's some really good racing. I kind of lost my way in the middle of the race a little bit. But the car started to come back to me at the end there, and then fortunately Miko and Timu started fighting, so that helped me catch them back up.
Yeah, what about the car at the start of the race? We noticed it was somewhat cool temperatures here. Does it take a bit for the tires to really get up into the working range?
A long lap like this it's kind of like a lap and a half, and then you're pretty much there. The way the car feels changes quite a bit because the weight changes so much. But it kind of feels the same. It just gets a little sketchy at times and a little unpredictable.
Next round, we're heading off to Phillip Island, which is certainly going to be a challenge with all the long sweeping corners that that track includes. So you're going to be there, and are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, not a huge fan of Road America, so I wasn't really looking forward to this week so much. But I'm looking forward to Phillip Island. It's not historically a good track for me, but it's fun nonetheless. So we'll see how we go.
All right. Well, congratulations on a top 10 today, and can't wait to see it down in Australia.
Thanks, Joe.
Up next, we've got Andy T joining us, and I believe DJ is going to be talking to the pole sitter who unfortunately did not have, front row starter who did not have a good day.
Yeah, Andy, a little bit of a disappointing run for you here today, but at least able to recover. Talk me through your mindset coming out of this one.
Wait, what? Why are you guys not congratulating me? I got fastest lap, therefore I won the race. I am the winner. Woohoo!
Excuse me, you're completely right there, Andy, but you clearly had the speed in that car.
Yeah, for sure. And I didn't even need draft guys. Come at me.
I love that mentality, my friend. I really do. That does set up, though, we were talking about it, that it's going to be a pretty tight battle there for you for the championship, I think, going down to the wire. Are you looking at that for the season here, or are you just taking it race by race?
No, I'm not racing the championship this season. I got personal life stuff going on, so my Sundays aren't always going to be available, which is a shame because the fixes to this car have been fantastic. It's so much fun to drive. Funnily enough, my 2 spins are because there's no infinite front grip anymore, and I was driving on autopilot. It's like, oh yeah, this doesn't work anymore. You have to think about front grip. So, yeah, pay attention, kids, when you're leading a race, dear Lord.
Yeah, I'm gonna start taking notes here when I jump into the Lotus. But yeah, so I was gonna ask you about the changes outside of the front grip thing. You're liking the new implementation on the tire model and everything else that iRacing has put in?
Yeah, the main thing that needed fixing was ridiculous snap oversteer in high-speed corners, which is why we were sort of forced to use the high pressures we were, and they've resolved that completely. So no bother there. You can throw it into some high-speed corners, providing the fronts can live with it. But yeah, good. The one thing I don't like is they've locked off the front camber, and I like to use stupid values there, so that's scuppered me. But otherwise, yeah, fantastic. By the way, how was Marco? Did he treat you gently? He's a gentle lover.
He was indeed. He did a great job with us, and we'll definitely be back with him later, we hope at least. But looking to the road, Andy, are you going to be able to make it to Phillip Island? And do you think you can do well there?
Stupid track, probably won't be racing it.
Fair enough, my friend, fair enough. But anybody you'd like to thank for this run here today?
Raccoon Racing boys, as usual, and Marco, fantastic job, dude. Like, we talked before the race that it was going to be a 1-2, and I managed to put some dynamite under that and push the damn trigger. So great, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Andy. That was your 13th place finisher here today, Andy T. Joe?
That's going to close out our interview. So we want to give a big thank you to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. Also, we want to thank the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here. And additional thanks to June Milan, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Ryan, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media that we've listed on the screen. And check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We'll keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. And up next for this series, it'll be Phillip Island, Sunday, October 3rd at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen. Check those out and mark them down on your calendar, because up next in just a few minutes, the Absolute Beginners League starts their new season at Hockenheim here at 2 p.m. and they're changing the format, so you definitely want to tune in. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.